What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to Red Seat Radio. My name is Corbin, and this offseason, we've seen a lot of turmoil within Red Sox Nation. We've seen some positive guys, we've seen some negative guys, but for the most part, it appears as though not a lot of people are super excited about the 2023 Boston Red Sox. Now, I'm not going to sit here and tell you guys that everything is perfect with this Red Sox team. There are very valid criticisms about how this 2023 offseason went, and you are perfectly in your own right to be able to criticize how this 2023 team was constructed. But regardless of whether or not you are team positive or team negative, or you're somewhere in the middle, there is something we can all agree on, and that is the fact that baseball is right around the corner. The 25th of this month, in February, the Boston Red Sox play their first spring training game of the 2023 season. Then about a week later, on March 8th, the World Baseball Classic kicks off, and we get to see some of our Red Sox players repping their hometown. So what I wanted to do before the season started, before we got into the 2023 regular season, was give you guys a little bit of hope. Give you guys something to get excited about, or maybe even give you guys something to be positive about for this 2023 Red Sox team. And I'm not just talking vibes, I'm not just talking hypotheticals here. We're going to go into some numbers as well to see if I can persuade some of you guys to get even a little bit excited about this 2023 Red Sox team. But before we get into that, do me a favor, make sure you guys hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. If you're new here, we talk Red Sox content almost every single day. Also, make sure you guys hit the like button on this video as well. Helps these videos out a ton, and it would mean a lot to me. Thank you all very much for clicking on this one. Let's get into it. Let's start with the bullpen here and talk about that, because in my opinion, the biggest difference between this 2022 team and the 2023 Boston Red Sox in a positive way is going to be that bullpen. Because if you take a look at the additions, starting with Kenley Jansen. Kenley Jansen was added to this Red Sox team, and it's the first legitimate closer that the Red Sox have had in a really long time. He is projected by Fangraphs to have 29 saves in the 2023 season. Now, to put that into a bit of a perspective here for you, in 2022, the Boston Red Sox as a team had only 10 more saves than Kenley Jansen is projected to get in 2023 with 39. They also blew 26 save opportunities in 2022, making them one of the worst bullpens in baseball in terms of blown saves. Adding a closer who is reliable, who has experience, and who is one of the better relievers in all of baseball is exactly what this team needed, and him alone being able to come in and close games is going to give you a couple more wins than you did last year. Just him alone. Then you take a look at the other additions made to this Red Sox bullpen. You've got Chris Martin, who literally never walks anybody. You've got Joely Rodriguez, who did have a bit of a tough year last year in terms of ERA, but his projections are really good, and he could be a guy who could end up being a high leverage lefty type reliever. And you've got Richard Bleier, who maybe doesn't have the best statistics in the world or projections in the world, but he's a really solid left-handed option. Not to mention all of the young guys in this Red Sox bullpen who have a ton of potential and who are coming into, some of them, their first full season in Major League Baseball. You're starting to really see this Red Sox bullpen develop, and if you take a look at the comparisons between 2022, where they had a team ERA, bullpen ERA, of 4.59, which was the 5th worst ERA in terms of bullpen in all of Major League Baseball. Coming into 2023, the Red Sox have a projected ERA from Fangraphs as a team in the bullpen for a 3.39. Now, if they did that in 2022, they are the 14th worst bullpen in all of baseball, meaning that they are kind of middle of the pack right now in terms of projected ERA. They aren't elite by any means, and obviously projections, take them with a grain of salt, because there are some guys on this list that could end up not making the team out of spring training, and there are guys who are going to make the team out of spring training who aren't on this list. So this ERA can vary a little bit, but either way, this Red Sox team projected wise, at least bullpen wise, is going to be much better than it was in 2022. And that alone gets me a little bit excited, because I was so sick and tired and beat down every time we got into the 6th, 7th inning and we were winning, just expecting to lose by the end of the year. It was brutal. So at least this year, if we do have a lead going into later innings, it's going to be a much more enjoyable experience to watch. And for that reason and that reason alone, in my opinion, the bullpen is one of the biggest positive takeaways of this Red Sox offseason, is something that gets me excited going into 2023. Now let's see if we could take any positives out of this offense going into 2023. Obviously, this offense took a really big hit this offseason. You lost guys like JD Martinez, who did struggle towards the end of 2022, but overall was one of the more consistent and reliable offensive producers on on this Red Sox team during his years on his contract. And they lost, maybe more importantly, in my opinion, my favorite player, maybe of all time, Xander Bogaerts, who you could critique his defense all day, but he was one of the best offensive shortstops in all of baseball last year and has been consistently throughout his career. So you lose those two guys and our offense took a pretty big hit. But let's take a look at the guys they actually did add, because if you take a look at their projected WRC pluses, which for those of you who do not know, weighted runs created plus, which is essentially how much runs a player creates throughout a season. Now this takes into account what stadium you're playing at, what pitchers you're facing, other players in your lineup, stuff like that, to create an aggregate total, and the average throughout Major League Baseball is 100. So if you have above 100 WRC plus, you're above average in terms of production. If you're below 100 WRC plus, you're below average in terms of production. And this 2023 Red Sox team has 6 of their 9 players expected to be above average in 2023, with a couple of guys expected to be really above average. Yoshida, who's in the 140s, Devers, who's in the 130s, and Tristan Casas, who's in the 120s. Now, thanks to Craig, who already pointed this out on Twitter and did the comparison for us, if you compare this 2022 Red Sox team to the 2023 Red Sox team, the mean, which is the average of all the WRC pluses in each lineup, is actually higher with this 2023 team. So according to projections, this 2023 Red Sox offense could be better than this 2022 offense, which was actually really good. It had the 3rd highest average in Major League Baseball. It had one of the top extra base hit totals in all of baseball. So to have a better offensive producing year in 2023 would be absolutely fantastic. Now again, these are projections. It's not proven until they actually do it. I understand that, but we're talking about things that could get you excited about this 2023 team, and the prospect of having a better offense than we did in 2022 is exciting. Not to mention, at the very least, even if these projections don't work out, we're going to see a lot more meaningful at-bats from this Red Sox team. Last year, we had a big problem with guys swinging 3 pitches right down the middle, or watching 3 pitches right down the middle and then going back to the dugout. This year should be a little bit different. You've got a lot of guys who are really hard to strike out. You've got Rafael Devers, obviously, is one of the best hitters in baseball. Masataka Yoshida literally made a career for himself by being a very patient hitter and a guy who's very good at getting on base. You bring in Justin Turner, who's in the 76th percentile in K rate in Major League Baseball. You've got Alex Verdugo, who's in the 92nd percentile in K rate in all of baseball. I mean that only 8% of batters struck out less than Alex Verdugo did last year. You've got Tristan Casas, who had one of the highest walk rates since he came up in all of baseball, right? You're going to see a lot more meaningful at bats, and it's going to make games more enjoyable to watch in terms of offensive play for this Red Sox team. You also have a pretty decent amount of sneaky power. You've got, again, guys like Devers, who's going to give you power. Tristan Casas has a ton of power potential. Adam Duvall has a lot of power potential. Justin Turner has a little bit of power potential. Masataka Yoshida could hit you 20 home runs, right? So there is some power within this Red Sox lineup. Is it the most feared power hitters in all of baseball aside from Devers? Probably not, but there is power here to take away from this Red Sox offense. So at the very least, this Red Sox offense should be pretty fun to watch in 2023. I will always and forever be angry that this Red Sox front office botched Xander Bogaerts and bringing him back to this Red Sox team, but that doesn't mean I'm rooting for this team to fail and rooting for this offense to fail as well. And I really think this offense could be an exciting one to watch. In terms of starting pitching, for me, this is my area with the biggest concern. There are a ton of question marks surrounding this Red Sox pitching staff, and a lot of these question marks and a lot of what the Red Sox are relying on are guys coming back from injury who have been injured a lot recently. Chris Sale, James Paxton, Corey Kluber, who had a great year last year, who's been injured a lot. Whitlock coming back and doing really well, right? So there's a lot of concern over this Red Sox team and their starting pitching, and I am definitely concerned as well. But this is a positive video, so we're going to try and pull some positives out of this rotation. And for me, it's because there's a lot of upside. This pitching rotation could be really good. You've got a lot of depth, something the Red Sox did not have in their pitching rotation in 2022. Right now, you got 7, 8, maybe even 9 guys in this Red Sox 40-man roster that could pitch big league innings at any time. Again, something the Red Sox did not have. You've got a great mix of super young, really talented players like Whitlock and Bayo. And then you've got a mix of veteran players as well, who are at one point some of the most dominant pitchers in all of baseball. Chris Sale, Paxton, Kluber, those guys all came close or did win a Cy Young at some point. So I'm not expecting Cy Young seasons out of them, but they do have potential to be good pitchers in Major League Baseball. While the starting pitching staff is definitely my biggest concern, I think that if everything goes right for this Red Sox pitching staff, they can be really, really good. And because this is a positive video, we're going to stay positive and say that the biggest positive takeaway of this Red Sox starting pitching staff is their upside, their talent mix, and their depth. But the biggest reason, in my opinion, to stay at least cautiously positive about this Red Sox team is very simple. It's the fact that they know everything that went on this offseason. They saw all the fans' reactions. They saw all the projections, the FanGraphs one that has met with a 0% chance of making the playoffs and a negative winning percentage. They saw that MLB ranked them as one of the worst off seasons in Major League Baseball, that MLB has them in the second lowest tier, that MLB doesn't think they're going to make the playoffs either. They see all of this, right? And on top of that too, you have a ton of guys coming back from injury. You've got a ton of guys coming back from bad years. You've got a ton of guys on prove-it contracts, right? You got a ton of guys with chips on their shoulders. And to me, there is nothing more binding to a team than an agreement to shock the world, an agreement to prove everybody wrong. It is one of the strongest bonds in baseball, in all of sports, really. And there's something special about a Red Sox team who has something to prove. We saw it in 04, we saw it in 13, we saw it in 2018 when people started going around saying, hey, maybe this young core of young Red Sox talent won't ever be able to put it together enough to win a World Series. And so to me, the biggest reason to stay positive about this team is this team's chemistry, this team's bond, and this team's agreement to prove the entire world wrong, because that is an extremely powerful tool, regardless of whether or not you believe that. And if none of this makes you go, okay, maybe there is something positive I can look at going into 2023, focus on some of the interesting storylines to get excited about this season. Is Chris Sale gonna bounce back? What is the future of this Red Sox team gonna look like with Tristan Casas, Brian Bayo, Garrett Whitlock starting, Tanner Houck taking on a bigger role? Maybe we see Ceddanne Rafaela, Manuel Valdez, right? There are some young stars that could make their way into the major leagues or make an impact at the major league level in 2023. So maybe you look towards that. Maybe you look towards how's Devers gonna look now that he has his extension. Is he gonna be better? Is he gonna be worse? Is Devers gonna win an MVP? There's certain things that you can look at storyline wise to get excited about this 2023 season if you truly don't think the Red Sox can at the very least have a positive record. Now, I'm not gonna sit here and I'm gonna tell you guys that all of this combined makes them a sneaky World Series contender or even playoff contender. No, the purpose of this video, it was not to try and convince you that this team is one of the best teams in baseball. It's to try and give you guys something positive to root for going into 2023. Because at the very least, in my opinion, even if this team record wise does not do well, I think it's going to be a fun team to watch. I think you're going to see a lot of close games. I think you're going to see a lot of offensive production. And I think you're going to see a lot of guys just having fun and playing baseball. And at the end of the day, those are some of the best teams to watch. In my opinion, I'm cautiously optimistic that this team could shock the world. And I think they have the capability to do it. But let me know in the comment section down below if I was able to sway you. If you were already positive, do you agree with my reasoning for being positive about this Red Sox team? If you were somewhere in the middle, did I lean you more towards positive? And if you were negative, did I lean you any more towards the middle or towards positive? Let me know all your thoughts on the positive side of this Red Sox team down below. As always, if you made it to the end of this video, do me a favor, make sure you guys have hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. If you're new here, we talk Red Sox content almost every single day. Also, make sure you guys have hit the like button on this video as well. Helps these videos out a ton, and it would mean a lot to me. Thank you all very much for clicking on this one, and I will see you in the Red Sea.